The House of Silence is no longer a residence for people, so there is no longer anyone living in the House of Silence. We tried many times for the House of Silence to be incarnated, and we will have a new trial of establishing that house for that which it was created for. So the House of Silence is not a place for people to live or for people to cook. The House of Silence is not for this. It's not for hosting people. The House of Silence is to be a place totally dedicated to healing, to healing sleeping, to revealing sleeping for people. So that is a place specially dedicated to inner healing, specially dedicated to healing dreams, to profound sleep, and that which the person will be able to receive as a revelation through their dreams. They will have a revelation, they will take evolutionary steps, they will know themselves. So it's necessary that the house may not have any other kind of use, activity. Nothing can be done there besides this, besides sleeping, dreaming, healing. That house is for this. If this takes place, if we really have this use for that house, and if people are really sleeping there, really getting in contact with their inner worlds, having this opportunity of being in a level of consciousness, in a plane of consciousness that is less material, if this takes place through those people and through the experience of those people, through that which happens to those people, we will find out, we'll rediscover procedures of healing, techniques of healing. We will know energies of healing that will adjust to the new energetic conjuncture that the planet is presenting, because our whole way of dealing with healing, all the procedures that we do, all the work in this, in medicine, in healing, it is all about the process that we know. It's about the energy present on the planet and which was present during many cycles on the planet. The new energetic conjuncture of the planet that is approaching, that is establishing this new energy, will bring new techniques of healing, new processes of... So there is a place dedicated for this to happen. We dedicate that place, that space was built and offered, dedicated to this. But now, as eventually we need to go through a certain maturing so as to rediscover these new techniques, we are using that house for other things, so that the house is not closed. In a world which most don't have a place to live, but now we'll make a new trial of being there, rediscovering these processes, these techniques, living these techniques. That's why it's important that those who will go to the House of Silence, it's very important for you to share with those responsible for the house. You should share your experiences, not to fit your infant dreams, fantasies, but from the scientific point of view of collaborating, helping, so that the responsible for the house may understand and observe the effects that house is producing, and eventually adjust certain things, because this is a process, it's a technique of us using that place, that house. There's a whole intuitive part, but there's also a practical part of the experience of those who are living there. There are certain activities or energies which must, in this new conjuncture of the planet, they must operate together, united. And we have a work on this. We must develop a work on this. These energies which must work together, which must unite for us to really help people in the most complete way. This means psychology, medicine, astronomy, astrology. These are things which we must develop. We should have them more developed in order to help individuals more completely. Today, as a humanity, we know a minimum part of psychology, because we know mental psychology, but we don't know the psychology of the soul. We don't know the structure of the monad, so we know a minimum part of psychology, almost nothing compared to what psychology is to be lived. Medicine, we know very little of medicine. How much do we still have to develop in the field of medicine? About astronomy, we also have sectors in the group. We have people in the group who are very interested on this. They're studying this, but they're doing many other things. And astronomy is like a part of those people, but those people are not totally dedicated to it. They're not doing just that. We should reach it. And astrology, we literally need to start on this. We need to go from that book of astrology that we have so that we can start developing things. So we have almost everything to do. And that house is the symbol of all this. Our offer is in that house, our offer of creating an environment, a situation in which it's possible for a being to be there and prepare themselves. No one will go there and start as if they were very developed. They will go there to develop. They will go there to begin a path, a more conscious path on these 4 sectors. So we would have to keep in mind that we will have a kind of retreat, which is the normal retreat for people that we have in trailers by the lakes, a simple retreat that we need to have once in a while. We have places for retreat in F3. We have a lot of places to have retreats. The House of Silence is not for that. The House of Silence would be for those who have certain goals of developing these things. Having goals doesn't mean to have fantasies. It's a house dedicated for those who notice, those who are interested, those who are dedicated to this. Sometimes that person is foreseen to develop something like this and they don't know it themselves. So it's up for those people responsible for the House of Silence of recognizing those people that will develop something going there, because the person themselves may not know about this. Some even know that they have a lot to develop and they would have to develop in a different field. But there are those which are not aware of what they could develop. for one reason or the other for individual matters. So it's up to those people responsible for the house to recognize that person, verify if that person has a path to do, and to place that person in contact with that house in a possible way for them, so that they can really develop certain things. And the house of silence also has baths, so we would have to see different ways of people having purifying baths which are not there, and so that baths there are in this field, so that people in that situation would have a certain contact with their inner levels. So it's a different kind of bath, different kinds of formulas and herbs which will be placed in the water. It's all different. So we'd have to go through a period of adaptation, looking for different systems of adaptation in other areas. We have baths in all areas, so we don't need purifying baths and common immersion baths, restoring baths to be all in the house of silence, because otherwise that house will have a vibration that will not correspond to that which is being awaited to develop in the house. So we would have to distribute medicinal baths or the other areas which have elements for this. When we say that there must be no one living in that house, we shouldn't cook in that house, because all these activities have their own energy. They develop a certain vibration. They create an environment of which they are part of, and it's part of our lives. But for us to really have a work and have an experience, or to have an offering of being in this world incarnated, but at the same time in contact with our inner world, with our inner planes, we can do that anywhere, even in the bus stop. But if we can dedicate a place for this, this will make it easier to a lot of people. When things are necessary, when it's necessary to happen of a person being healed, or for a dream to be healing, for a dream to be revealing, instructive for the individual, it will take place. The force of life will make it happen. We don't have any doubts about this. And we work serving even in very relative situations, and we do the best possible, because we know that what must happen, what must be carried out, will be carried out. But we shouldn't place as many obstacles so that certain positive things can take place. We as a consciousness, we as beings, we have the possibility of manifesting possibilities much beyond the possibilities that psychology indicates. What psychology indicates as the development of a being is almost nothing compared to what the being can really develop, to what the being can really become. And the physical human body, the human astral body and the human mental body has possibilities of manifesting things, has the possibility of acting in a much more perfect way, in a much more authentic way than is manifesting currently. So let's say that a person is an artist. They are producing masterpieces. That is not everything they can do. As good as that can be, it's a small part of what they have the conditions of producing, and this is about everything in life. So those who cook well, they can cook much better. Those who are a good doctor, they can become much better. Those who are saints, they can be much better. You see, it's in this impulse. We must be in this impulse. We should be in something like this, not to diminish our own situation, not to diminish ourselves or to feel inferior, but a saint won't end there, a doctor won't end there, an artist won't end there. No one ends where they are. There's a whole infinite path before us, and we must keep this in mind, and also adjust to this rhythm, because our tendency is not to enter this infinite impulse, is to stop at some point, establish ourselves at some point, and await our new incarnation, await the new stage of life, await a new cycle. Cycles, we can live a cycle and have the following cycle latent, making the first things within us. We can have the next step present. So we must keep our attention towards the current stage, very concentrated on the present moment, but we must have a space within our beings, within our consciousnesses, to enter that which is the next stage, the next cycle, that which we will become from there on. This is all in the energy of the House of Silence. That is all in the intention with which that house was placed in the material plane. So let's see if we can walk a little more this time. Let's see if this time we can take some steps on this. In this field, we are paying a lot of attention to mantra work. We can have this work of mantras on several levels and in different ways. We can repeat mantras automatically, we can pronounce mantras vocally, mentally, but that work depends on our attitude. We can be in a disciplined attitude and pronounce the mantras in group or mentally, and we can at that moment be an offering. We can be in an attitude of offering to the one consciousness. We can be in a behavior of reverence before our inner self, or we can be in a behavior of reverence for the hierarchy. So we have levels of expression, levels of contact. It's a work according to our behavior at that moment. If we are in a behavior of offering, or if we are in a behavior of reverence to our inner self, or reverence to hierarchies, we will find at that moment, in that alignment, we will find inspiration or strength to serve the one and only, or to serve according to the inner self, or serve the hierarchies. Depending on our behavior, we will develop that strength. We will receive energy, or we will develop energy according to that which we are connected with, which we are willing to do. Or we will develop an energy to serve humanity, to serve the planet. It all depends on our behavior. So those mantras represent a great potential of energy, and depending on the behavior in which we are, will develop a certain energy. The energy to be developed is the one to do with the level of our intention. And in the development of that energy, we can have a lot of things. We can have strength, energy to develop a work, a planetary work, a service, anyway, whatever our proposal is. And with this, we'll have an inner formation. Something will take place within us innerly. For instance, our energy will be elevated, will be channeled towards subtle life, towards inner life. Or energy will be in the level of development of external work, of external service, or both things. Because we can serve externally, we can serve materially, exteriorly, as we can also serve innerly, in an invisible way, in inner planes. So a mantra has the potential of preparing us for all this, has the potential of forming us both for external work as for inner work. And a mantra has the possibility of stimulating us, helping us, impelling us to work for the manifestation of that which is already proposed by that energy. So we will manifest something already foreseen, and then we'll be able to help manifesting something which is foreseen but is optional. If we develop that energy, and if we entered in this field of manifestation, things will start happening, and they didn't used to happen, but with the strength of that energy and inner work that will take place within us, then they will start happening, they will start taking place. As well as the strength of mantras and that which we radiate, that which we manifest, that which takes place, can help in the elevation of beings, in the elevation of consciousness towards level of superior evolution. Anyway, it depends on how we are attuned. It depends on what we are proposing ourselves to, and it depends on how we are at that moment in groups. So many things can take place. A harmonization can happen. We can all be in energy in the most material planes and closer, as there could be an elevation of our energy, an elevation of our consciousness towards more subtle levels, as we can have an external harmony but an energy can be developed so that we can materialize and carry out something that is foreseen, something that is about to be manifested, and that may need the development of a certain energy, a certain creative energy, a certain energy of manifestation. So it's a work that can take place or not totally, that can take place partially or in a greater field, in a greater plan. We can develop a force, an energy can be gathered, which may help us to confirm our vows, to confirm our intentions, of strengthening our intentions. So everything that we are willing to do, it can be reinforced with the work of mantras. It can be reconfirmed, it can be energized, and therefore it can be much more based on a stronger energy. It can be organized in a firmer way and be manifested in a much more possible way. As mantras also have the possibility of connecting us, linking us to the work of mirrors, the groups of mirrors, the mirrors of the cosmos, then it's a stage of the work of mantras that is more advanced. That is, mantras working for us, acting as a link, a contact, being a communication for us in very advanced levels. Anyway, the work is there, and we can develop many things with them. Individually, each one in that field that they can develop, or in group. Because if various individuals start to develop the work in a certain level, then the mantra will enable the formation of a group of work, or a group of communication, or a group of service that can correspond to the external group or form inner levels of group work. So it's important to have this group monthly or even more often, because these levels of work with the mantras will form in the inner planes. They will add these intensities, and groups will be formed on different ways of work. And when we do this monthly, we can notice the formation of inner groups that work innerly, they unite innerly, and they communicate in service. And this will take place in different levels depending on how refined we are and how things are taking place. We don't need to worry about these things. We would have to work with mantras, use mantras, develop this work, dedicate to this work, and then we'll feel ourselves strengthened, more conscious. We'll notice the strength of this work, and this could mean that there is already a communication, and groups are already being formed through this attunement. And we wouldn't even need to know what those groups are, or what beings those are, or who is gathering. It's not necessary. The important thing is for when you attune through that mantra. The mantra is a tool for you to attune. The mantra is a tool for you to concentrate on entering and finding an energy point, a doorway of communication. And if you have others attuned at the same level, that attunement will be stronger. So we will start noticing that you're not working by yourself, you're not acting alone. You have different forces added, you have other inner beings in that same attunement. And then we will find out this, we will find out about this work, but we need to be faithful to this pursuit, to these mantras. The giving of self for this broad work, for this wide and personal service, the giving of self is paramount. From this offering, a whole evolutionary rhythm will begin. You will notice, you will find yourself in a more guarded level, in a situation of, you will feel stronger, and you must be faithful, you must be it doesn't matter what work that is, it doesn't matter what that is for, because it's an energy that is developed, that is a strength that will be concentrated there, and it will be applied on service, on inner service, and you can have awareness of what service it is. You can be aware of your group of mirrors, you can have awareness of what work is carrying out there or not. That doesn't matter, but innately you know that something is happening. You know the work is being done. In the beginning, while we are training this, while we are looking for this alignment or this reunion, everyone is offering, everyone is seeking to enter this attunement, so you can offer yourselves in a very general way, in a very impersonal way. You can place your energy and offer it to the one and only Lord, to the inner God, or to the one and only consciousness. And you can ask inner consent. You can ask for the grace of working, of serving. Our intention is very important. Our aspiration is very important, so that it may not be abstract and loosen, but that although you may not know consciously what you're serving, but you should ask for it, you should offer this inner consent so that your energy may be offered, may be used, may be channeled. And then you know consciously that you will collaborate, and your energy will collaborate, your energy will act in that which must be done. You won't be there just offering yourself to a certain work that is magic, but you're offering yourself to collaborate with what it must be. You're ready and offer to whatever must be, to whatever the superior will is, in a very impersonal way. And that continuous work, that faithful work, and this offer for what it should be, that will form a union of that impersonal will which is acting there, that impersonal will which is offering, with the superior will, with the inner will within you. Those two wills will unite, and the work will be very strong. And those individuals gathered in this way about a task, an evolutionary work that will create a very strong nucleus of work and very helpful for the planet. But that at a certain point we feel a base on this, we feel there is a connection established a nucleus formed. And when you feel that nucleus, when you feel that presence, you feel that when you're offering, when you feel it right away, you feel that nucleus, that force right away. Then you are attentive, you are available to know the presence of a hierarchy, because there is the presence of a hierarchy in this work, the presence of mirrors. So you should be very attentive and available, and you will know about that presence that could happen, and you will learn how to coordinate your action, your way of offering, your availability, your energy. Anyway, you will learn how to coordinate all this to the energy of hierarchy, of the hierarchy that is presented, whose energy will be perceived. Here we go through certain trials. The first trial is the trial of silence, and it's about mental silence here. The mind enters in this and starts making a series of comments. The mind starts to doubt, the mind starts to criticize, thinking that it should be in a different way. The mind starts to doubt that something is actually happening, and this must all be placed aside. The mind will make a series of considerations, and at the same time you should remain in that behavior and that work and remain firm there. The mind is telling you that you're just imagining things, that nothing is happening, that you're doing in a wrong way. It's not like that. You're not prepared. That is all the mind, and you should remain silent. You should listen to the mind saying all these things and remain in silence and doing what you were proposed to do and willing to do what you offer to do there. This is the trial of silence. And the other trial is the trial of faithfulness, fidelity. That is, you should be focused, you should be constant, you should be faithful. And at the time that you have lack of willing, external interferences, other commitments, laziness, drowsiness, lack of will, you should be faithful. You should do that at the time it must be done, at the time that you offered yourself. And this is the other trial. And here we don't have reasons lacking for you not to be faithful and not to be ready. You won't be lacking reasons. You will have reasons of all kinds, and you should be faithful. At that moment, you should be present doing this, proposing to do this, and concentrated and aligned. So, silence in the face of everything that the mind is saying, and fidelity. To go through everything that circumstances bring and carry out what must be carried out. And the third trial is the trial of compassion. That is, you do all of it out of compassion. There is so much need for service, so much need for work. There is so much need for alignment of connected people that there comes a compassion in the face of so much need, of so many beings that need it, of the world that needs it, of the psychic aura of the planet that needs this. You're not the one who needs it. Everything needs it. It's a need for you to be attuned, for you to be in communication. It's a great need to have channels of contact. So out of compassion, you should dedicate totally to this, not out of vanity, not out of your need. It's compassion that leads you to be in this attunement, to be in this trial of silence, of faithfulness, and steadfast and impeccable. This is the work. In those moments in which we are steadfast in this purpose, you will notice the presence of these consciousnesses which have already transcended all these trials, that are beyond these trials. They have gone through all these trials, all these things that we're going through now. They have been through all these trials of silence, faithfulness, compassion. They have been through all this. And this is what is present when you are still fighting against these things, or you're still dealing with these stages. And those who have already transcended this and the present are the ones which protect, that keep, that help you to have your connection. So the first contact with the hierarchy is a support, a help that we feel. It's a base, a protection, a very effective and saving presence, a presence of strength that helps us to carry out this whole process. And later on, this contact with the hierarchy, this union, this communication will be developed, and we will thus live this union, this development. Mantras are a path to all this, it's a tool to all this. And mantras are one of our proposals of work. One of the instruments that we have for this work is the mantras.